Hello everyone, this is Adam with AEW Maine Treasure Adventures. Today, we are over in Holt's Cove, looking for the ovens. Now I know exactly where they are. We are checking out a few other things along the way. So let's see what we can get into. I think I'll speed this video up during my walk over to the ovens, so we can get there a little faster. I might stop a couple of times along the way to show off anything that is interesting. A lot of locals have never been out here to check these out, which is unfortunate. If you're someone that's lived here for a while and never seen them, make it a point to do so. There is a huge amount of history right here on how the island was formed. We'll talk about that along the way. On this adventure to check out the ovens here on MDI, more specifically between Salisbury Cove and Holt's Cove, about 5 miles from in-town Bar Harbor. This is really cool how the icicles have been forming off some of the ledges. We will also look at a couple of different ways to get here. This is a site like no other on the island. Currently, it's in the off-season, so we're going to drive out there and walk it. However, if it was warmer, I recommend taking a kayak out to see it, as there's no public land access. If you do walk it, you want to make sure you get here around 2 hours before low tide and get out of there no later than 2 hours after low tide to make sure you don't get trapped by the tide coming in. A kayak gives you more flexibility to arrive later or stay longer. We are almost there. We don't have much further to go before we're at the ovens. Here is when you really start to see how huge some of the ledges are around here.
Ginormous. That is so cool. Alright.
So here we are, walking along this picturesque coastline the entire way to the ovens. It is a pretty amazing place. The ledges are spectacular. It's pretty easy walking, although make sure you are careful, as some of the rocks can get slippery. I'm filming my entire walk over to this amazing site because you never know what cool things you might see, from wildlife to the scenic views. It's a treasure in itself. Okay, we are pretty much here. The ovens get way bigger past the cave called the Cathedral, right up ahead. The cathedral is a tunnel through the rock. It's just over 10 feet high. If you take a closer look at the rock that goes from just outside the tunnel through the tunnel, it will show white streaks in the rock. These white streaks are made up of volcanic debris, which makes this layer easier to erode. These white streaks are concentration of feldspar crystals deposited by volcanic eruption in the Silurian period. I just love saying that word, Silurian. This all happened about 420 million years ago. I played in a couple of smaller caves. They don't really go in that far. So, is it really a cave? I'm still gonna call it a cave. Right around the next corner will be the big ovens. The ovens have been carved out by the sea. Something about the geology here that is different from other places around the island to produce these types of cavities. So you might be asking yourself, how did they form? Or why are they here? Well, it all started about 420 million years ago, during the Silurian period. 3 geologic features happened in just the right way to form the Ovens and the Cathedral. These 3 features are horizontal rock layers, vertical fractures, and small incline faults. The bedrock at the Ovens is part of the Bar Harbor Formation. It is a series of layered rocks, primarily siltstone and shale, that have been made by intrusions of the Cadillac Mountain granite, which underlies most of the interior of Mount Desert Island. At the Ovens, the rock is more massive and uniform, so the layers are still there. They are just more difficult to distinguish. The lower layer wasn't as strong of a rock as the upper layer. It made it easier for the sea to erode that layer and form the Ovens. The reason it's called the Bar Harbor Formation is because the exposures along the shoreline in the town of Bar Harbor. In most places, the many layers that comprise the Bar Harbor Formation are each a few inches thick. This sort of layering is found in the rocks just east of the Ovens. Each layer took an estimated 10,000 years to form. If you look closely at the ledges that make up the Ovens, you can see the horizontal and vertical fracturing along its fault lines from when they were created. I drew a picture. I'll put it up so you can see what I'm talking about. The Ovens are a fascinating example of the different erosions, where certain rocks are more easily eroded than others. A lot of tourists don't even know that this is here, so very few people come out here throughout the year. If you do come out, make sure whatever you carry in, you carry out. Pick up any trash that you find and throw it away, as not everyone is as cool as you and I. Take care of it like it's your own. If you can't do that, don't come out here. Matter of fact, if you can't pick up after yourself, don't come to Maine. Go to some other state that doesn't care if you use it as your own dumping ground. I walked down the beach towards the next dock. It looks like it got hit pretty bad with the last storm. Plus, there's another small cave that I wanted to check out. I've personally been coming out here for a long time. I think the first time I was with my buddy Nick Hardwick, I was 13 or 14 years old. We decided to walk from in-town Bar Harbor all the way out here. It was about 5.5 miles one way, as we would walk pretty much the entire coastline from Holt's Cove to the Ovens. Once we got our license and started driving, we would come out here any time that we wanted, day or night. The nighttime was especially cool. Now, some people would say creepy, because there are rumors that the Ovens are haunted. People oftentimes see lights coming from the Ovens when no one is there. We personally never saw any lights or anything creepy, and we weren't afraid of anything, especially ghosts. We grew up in the 80s. We knew who to call if we see any ghosts. Of course, I have to go into every nook and cranny that I could fit into, and some that I couldn't fit into. This is me going into the largest oven. I broke the top of my selfie stick on the top of the ovens. After the last couple of storms that pushed the rocks into the ovens, there isn't a lot of headroom like normally. Another cool thing that we will check out is if any radioactive granite shows up in any of the rocks. I have my dive light with me, and it has a UV light in it. I will shine it on some of the rocks in the caves because certain parts of the rocks will illuminate different colors, like yellow, green, and orange. It is from the granite, as granite contains veins of naturally occurring radioactive elements, like uranium, thorium, radium. Did you know when radium, it decays, it turns into radon? But no worries, as a natural source of radiation, the granite around here has between 10 to 20 parts per million of uranium. So unless I'm eating a lot of granite, this will not affect me. It should light right up with the UV light, so we will check it out. This is me making my way through the Cathedral Cave. The only downside, it is not very dark out, so I don't know how well it will show on camera. If I cannot get anything to light up here, I'll go into one of my favorite caves around the island that has a ton of granite showing that will light up really well. This is some maps on my car ride over here from Bar Harbor onto Gregoire Park and my walk along the beach. Here is the view coming in on a kayak, along with a map that shows where kayakers usually launch to get to the ovens. The radioactive rocks. You didn't think I'd forget, did you? I'll show you some of the colors I got while using my Orca Torch D710 V-Dive video flashlight with the UV light. I put it on some of the granite rocks in one of the caves on the island. Unfortunately, this wasn't by the ovens. I tried to get some video over by the ovens, but it was too light out to show up well on camera. But that's okay. This secret cave that I went to instead shows up way better. Look how the rocks glow green, some yellow, and orange. They lit right up while putting the UV light on them. Remember to always keep Maine beautiful, and until the next adventure, AEW out.